Hello. So today's lecture is the continuation of the previous lecture we did on cell. We introduced about cell. So now we'll talk something more about cell before going into details. So we'll talk about cell theory. So once cell was discovered before, so there was given a theory called the cell theory, which is a scientific explanation that says that living organisms are made of cells, that the cell is the basic unit of life. It was said this, we define cell as the basic unit of life. And based on this, the cell theory was given, which said that all living organisms are made of one or more cells. In this universe, we have living organisms, and every living organism will be made of a cell. Either the living organism will comprise a single cell or his body will be comprised of more than one cell. So the first statement of the cell theory was that all living organisms are made of one or more than one cell. Other second thing was the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, which we have already discussed. Okay, and the third was that cell arise from pre-existing cell. This is something new. So when a cell, when an organism grow, the organism grow by dividing. The cells divide. Uh, the cell which is already there will divide and give rise to two new cells. So the cell theory states that all cells arise from pre-existing cell. The already existed cells divide and will give rise to new cells, which will be more clear to you when we'll go to higher classes and we'll learn about cell division. So the cell theory basically states three things. All living organisms are made of one or more than one cell, and the cell is the basic structure and functional unit of life, and all new cells arises from pre-existing cell. Now here come the history of cell theory. So for the cell theory to form, like to conclude the three things about the cell theory, it started with the discovery. Like Robert Hood discovered the cell and he saw them as small box, little compartments, small box like little compartments, and named them cell because they look like small rooms. Then comes Matthias Shelton. He studied plant and he concluded that plants are also made of cell. Similarly, like Matthias Shelton, Theodore Schwann studied animal and he concluded that animals are also made of cell. So, the first point is here justified that all living organisms are made of cell. Either it can be one cell or more than one cell. So then comes Rudolf Virchow, who proposed that omnicellular e-cellular, which means that all new cells comes from pre-existing cell. And we said that there will be a older cell will give rise to two new daughter cells, and then these two daughter cells will behave as mother cells and then give rise to the new other new cells. So this will continues. So this is he proposed this as omnicellular e-cellular, hence concluding the cell theory. Now, we said we finally got to know that all living organisms are made of cells, and even whether it be a small tiny bacteria to a huge tree or humans. For example, like amoeba is a simple microorganism. His whole body comprises of a single cell. Similarly, bacteria is a simple organism, tiny microscopic organisms. So his body comprises of a single cell. But for plant and humans, a body comprises of millions and trillion cells. So do we have a specific term for this? Yes, we have a specific term for this. The organisms whose body is made of only one cell are called unicellular organisms. Uni means single, one, and cellular, like cell. Their body comprises of only one cell. So the thing which we talked about, like In the previous lecture, we talked about cell forming tissues, tissues forming organ and organ system. So, will this be the case in a unicellular organism? No. So the single cell will perform all type of life function, whether it be taking in food, respiration, excretion, or movement. So it is performed by this complete single cell. So their body organization is simple. So in contrast to this, we have multicellular organism. This body comprises of million and trillions of cells, and there we see the organization cell, which then ultimately transform into tissues, and tissues that ultimately transform into organs and organ system. So we have different organ for different function, like lungs for respiration, stomach for digestion, heart for pumping blood. So here different cell perform different function. So this is the difference between multicellular organisms and unicellular organism. Now here's a test for you. You have to give me examples for multicellular and unicellular organisms. We have discussed already some, but try to find something new more. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring. Thank you.